Ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoiners, pre-coiners, no-coiners, and shitcoiners, welcome to Swan Lounge, a weekly show in which you get to chirps with the Swan team and some of our friends from the amazing world of Bitcoin. We do this show every Friday, and it's called Swan Lounge because we are lounging. Unlike our more serious show, Swan Signal Live, Swan Lounge is about kicking with our friends, talking about the week's biggest events in Bitcoin, and just having fun. Before we dive in, we're doing something I think is really, really special. We're giving away Jon Pritzker's book, Inventing Bitcoin, for free in an effort to spread Bitcoin knowledge. You can go to swanbitcoin.com/free book to claim your copy. We have it in 3 different ebook formats and MP3 read by our friend Guy Swan at Bitcoin Audible. All we ask is that you pay it forward by sharing the book with at least 3 friends and family, preferably more. And to all the Swan Force members out there, we've set up a way for you to give away the book to help you recruit new Bitcoiners. Look in your referral dashboard and you'll find a link you can use to send people to your Swan Force landing page so they can get the free book offer and you can get the referral credit. And if you're not signed up for Swan Force yet, go to swanbitcoin.com/enlist and get started. It's a great deal. You'll earn 25% of Swan's fees on their purchases for 3 years. And your referral gets $10 of free Bitcoin if they become a Swan member and start saving $50 of Bitcoin per week or more. Also, make sure to watch to the end of the episode because we have a special segment called Swan Force Fridays, where we put our guests on the clock and give them 60 seconds to give us their best Bitcoin pitch. Finally, we all know that automatic recurring buys are the best and safest way to accumulate Bitcoin. But every now and again, you might just want to buy right now, which is why Swan is launching Buy Now very soon. Sign up at swanbitcoin.com/buy now to be one of the first Swan members to smash that Buy Now button. Before I let that wanker Brecky take over with our guests, one last thing. Smash that like button and hit subscribe. Doing so helps us beat those YouTube algorithms, which in turn will help us spread the good word about Bitcoin. And now, without any further ado, it's time for Swan Lounge.
Hey everybody, welcome to Swan Lounge. How's everybody doing on this fine Friday? Did I unmute everybody? Yes, I did.
You did. I'm good.
Welcome
I
to
was
Swan.
just admiring the swan.
I loved his history.
The swan is great.
He's a pretty dapper fellow, although somebody in the chat was saying that it was a bit of a weird Sean Connery. So we're working on the swan. His accent might change up. We'll see. He might become Australian. Black swans are actually from Australia, so it makes more sense. And Swan Bitcoin was actually inspired by none other than the good friar himself, Hass McCook. So I think we got to go Aussie. People in the chat, do me a favor. Let us know what you think of the Swan's accent and whether you think he should be Australian. We will take your consideration under consideration.
My vote, though, would be it's a good ode to Sean Connery. You know, we just lost him. So, rest in peace, Sean, through the swan.
Rest in peace. It would be a nice ode, but I think I could do that. Sign up for Swan Bitcoin. Sounds like a pirate, though. That's not even Sean. All right, I'll have to.
That was a weird Sean. Yeah.
Sean Connery. No. I don't see, but that's the thing is I can't ruin the Sean Connery. It has to be perfect, otherwise I'm doing him a disservice. So anyway, enough about that. We're here. It's Friday. We're lounging. Some of us are drinking. John is disappointed that his eggnog isn't ready. For those who don't know us all. Next to me, this way, is Justine, aka Ms. Hodl. Next to her is Aaron Gregor of Clarifying Crypto, a new podcast with Gary Leland that you should all check out. Bottom row, you know him, you love him. Reed Womack. He needs no introduction. Oh, we got to play your skiing video, by the way. I'm going to pull that up. And of course, John Vallis of the Rapid Fire Bitcoin podcast, another legend. I don't know who the guy in the bottom right is. He's just like a Swan fan or something. Some dude. What's up, Brady? How you doing?
We got to bring up John's ice diving video.
What's that?
I got to bring up John's ice plunge video too.
Ooh, all right, send it to me.
If we're gonna do the ski video,
Mine's not as sexy as Reed's was.
I don't know about that. Pretty close.
Reed's video was
Pretty sexy.
Yeah, it was. All right, let's talk news real quick. Let's talk about the week in Bitcoin. How are you all feeling? You know, we went down a little bit. I personally was not. I was kind of happy about it. I'm stacking more sats, so that's fine with me. And it looks like we're holding nicely. So, Justine, are you feeling bullish?
I'm always feeling bullish. And first of all, like, yeah, it's gone down a little bit. It's like, oh, you call it a dip? You know, like that's my first response is when someone's like, oh, it's dipping. And I look at the price, I'm like, really? That's it? But yeah, always a good time to stack for sure. I mean, how can someone not be bullish right now in this space? I mean, with everything going on in the world and all of the things happening in this space, like, yeah, there's no way not to be bullish. So yes, very bullish here on everything, really.
Oh yeah, Aaron, can you? I feel like you're a new face to Swan Lounge. Can you introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself, and then tell us if you're feeling bullish?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I have a podcast with Gary Leland, who is the BitBlock Boomer. I don't know what he calls it. BitBlock Boom is his conference, all that. Gary and I have been very good friends for a long time. We met in the podcasting world, ironically enough.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we have a podcast called Clarifying Crypto, but he kept, you know, back in 2017, I guess it was, he got into it. He was like, you should get into it. And that's when everybody was jumping in. And as an investor by nature, I'm like, I don't want to jump in when everybody's jumping in. And I need to figure out what I'm buying. So I bought my first Bitcoin, I guess it was 2018, and it went from 7,500 to 3,000. And I had a little heart attack. My God, I didn't sell. I did not sell. I hung on to it, but I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And did my research, really started learning what I did get myself into, and now I'm very sold on it. So to your question, I'm very bullish on it. I love the festering where we are right now. You know, like we festered around the 12 for a while, we went up, now we're festering. And I like the festering because that means, well, better chance of not a bigger dip, but just another increase later on. So I'm like you guys, buying up what I can at this moment. And I'm very excited about the future of Bitcoin.
Heck yeah. John, introduce yourself to the folks at home. Everybody knows you, but you know, one more time. Who are you?
Well, like you said, I'm the host of the Bitcoin Rapid Fire podcast.
The festering where we are right now.
Nope, my bad. And yeah, I'm super enthusiastic about Bitcoin, obviously, like all of you, and can't stop talking about it, and got limitless energy to connect with Bitcoiners. So as much as possible, I speak with other people that feel the same way, and we try to figure out what this whole thing is all about. And yeah, I'm really enjoying the ride. Bullish as fuck. I love, you know, to the previous question, I love price dips. I wish things would dip harder for longer so that we could all just stack them up. So yeah, that's it.
Justine, how did you get the name Miss Hodl? It's like the best name on Twitter, and somehow you nabbed it. Was that just by chance? Were you early? How did that happen?
No, I just changed to this name like earlier this year. And I was really quite shocked that it was available. I like my journey into Bitcoin, I've been very open about, but I sort of looked at it in 2016. It was way over my head. With the complete wrong way to get here, the horseshoe or whatever we call it, where I was involved in an alt that was like social network style, realized it's not anything that I wanted any part in, and then kind of came back to Bitcoin only. So I had the mean Justine Twitter handle because I kept being told I was mean for questioning like the norm and was being called toxic. And so I was like, fuck, I'll embrace it. I am mean. Like if questioning the norm is mean, then sure, that's me. So then just decided that as I started kind of being more and more active, being called mean was just opened up a lot of questions of like, but why are you mean? So just randomly decided with Miss Hodl. The joke was for years I've been hodling everything. Like, you know, I came from the prepper background, self-sovereignty. Like I just hodl all the things. So sort of grabbed that and went with it. And it's been fun because everyone, Mr. Hodl and Miss Hodl is the lovely joke now. The poor man. Everyone thinks we're married. and he has a lovely wife who's not me. So it makes for a good, a good fun time. But yeah, not early, just happened to not be taken somehow.
I love it. I forgot about the. Are you still doing the Toxic Ladies podcast? Is that still going on or no?
Well, we had one podcast. Katie and I, we all are still, Toxic Ladies is still a thing. We have a group chat that we essentially just help women who are maybe new to the space or Bitcoiners, wives who have questions. They just get thrown in this chat room with us, and we help that we can. We live that one time. Yeah, went live that one time and then haven't really done much with it since then. We do joke that we need to do something with Toxic Ladies, but currently it's just a group of ladies who have embraced the toxic name as well.
Well, I agree. You do need to do more with it because I enjoyed that show when you were airing. So, folks, we've got the video ready. This is Reed, Extreme Reed. Okay, I made him go out and do this for Bitcoin TV, and then it was just calling to me. I had to turn it into a little meme video. So, buckle your seatbelts. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Reed with Swan Bitcoin, and you're watching Bitcoin TV. Hi, I'm Reed from Swan Bitcoin, and you're watching Bitcoin TV. Hi, I'm Reed from Swan Bitcoin, and you're watching Bitcoin TV.
So that's Extreme Reed, and he's promised that as Bitcoin goes up and up and up, he's going to do even more of these videos, and he's going to lose even more clothing. And more buttons will be undone as the price goes up. Isn't that right, Reed? Reed, did I mute you? Oh, Reed, I'm sorry. I forgot to unmute you.
A deeper and deeper V, deeper powder, steeper slopes, even more of a faux hawk.
I gotta give props for the excuse me, for the old school zip up onesie, like 70s style. Really cool.
It's perfect, Reed. It's so perfect on so many levels.
It's good. Yeah, my fiance also has a matching ski suit. Hers is pink, so maybe she'll show up in the next video.
I like it. We're getting some funny comments about this. Corey Clipston in particular. Reed is the villain and better off dead. And of course, let's give a little shout out to Pardis. Where's his comment? Because I did this on purpose. The porn music really makes it. True.
We actually clipped that music from Cornhub.tv. So check that out. Good music.
Cornhub.tv. Yes. Give me a second. We're gonna.
We were looking at the analytics of Bitcoin TV on YouTube and seemed to suggest that we may even have a higher male viewership of Bitcoin TV than on Pornhub currently. So
we'll see where that goes. All right, let's talk some serious stuff for a little bit. I wanted to talk about MassMutual joining the Bitcoin Club with their $100 million Bitcoin purchase, which really is like a drop in the bucket for them. But what I find really cool about this is that they're an insurance company. And my dad, he's worked in insurance for years, and I'm still trying to convince him. And I sent him this news, and he was like, "Huh? An insurance company?" So I feel like this is great for adoption. I'd love to hear any thoughts anyone might have on this.
Well, all right. So insurance companies are typically pretty conservative, so that's pretty cool to see an insurance company put some money into Bitcoin. But I think it's cool that this stuff's getting a little boring. Like I saw MassMutual put in $100 million. Like, yeah, pretty cool, good job. And you're behind. You're not the one that's leader anymore. You're following. And I expect these to keep happening. Dominoes keep falling. We're going to see more and more of these disclosures. They're in the works right now. They won't get disclosed for 2-3 months, 4 months after they've really started the process. So it's going to be an avalanche over the overall of 2021 of announcements like this, and it'll get commonplace and get boring.
There was a great tweet I saw that somebody basically said, "Oh, look, they bought their first bit of Bitcoin. We all know what happens after that. They're just going to."
Yeah, I think it's just like it's confirming what we all know. I think this year has been a really interesting year for a lot of people, but I think one of the aspects that has been eye-opening for a lot of individuals is the idea that the dollar is devaluing constantly. And so you're seeing a lot of not only corporations, but maybe individuals who didn't look at Bitcoin before, seeing it as a safe, quote unquote, safe place for their long-term savings. You know, their cash reserves are being devalued and they see this as a solution. And I think it kind of goes back to the idea that Bitcoin happens for people when they need it, and it solves a problem for individuals. And so I think this year what we're seeing and we'll see more of is institutions and corporations seeing this as a way to solve an issue that they're seeing currently. And we already knew that. Like, kind of like what Brady said was like, oh, cool. Okay, welcome to the party. Like, I'm glad you guys figured it out. But it's bullish for sure.
I mean, you know, raise $650 million in corporate debt and buy a bunch of Bitcoin. That's the Chad move now. All right. Your $100 million in equity out of your 246 billion in assets managed, you know, like that's pleb money.
Brady, you're jumping the gun here, man. All right. I've got that on the list. That's a few more topics down. All right. Let's
front running Brecky's outline. Sorry, guys.
No, I feel like that was a very hold my beer. Like, oh, 100 million, hold my beer. Here you go, Michael Saylor.
Exactly.
I hate that expression, but it seemed appropriate.
Somebody used the term. He's become the Terra Chad now. He was the Giga Chad. Now he's the Terra Chad. He's just an animal of buying Bitcoin. It's somebody was saying that MSTR is short for monster, and I kind of see that now. So for the folks at home, sorry to be so shilly, not sorry, but if you want to front run the rest of the billionaires, you can go to swanbitcoin.com and we can help you out. Anyway, let's talk privacy for a little bit, huh? I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but I'm really amped about this CoinSwap news. So for those who don't know, the first CoinSwap test could herald an era of stronger Bitcoin privacy. Basically, they did a CoinSwap on the Bitcoin testnet and it went well. I'll read a little bit about it real quick. CoinSwap transactions look like transactions going from one address to another, but they're actually being sent somewhere else. Further, CoinSwaps can be implemented in such a way that they look just like normal transactions, making them invisible, unlike the most popular privacy tools today currently. So this is, I think this is extremely bullish for Bitcoin in general, just for Bitcoiners in general. And it's kind of happening at the same time that we are seeing a lot of potential regulations that may come to pass. So maybe we should talk a bit about what's going on with everyone's favorite Mnuchin.
Brady, could you clarify CoinSwap? So you would send Bitcoin to an address, and on the blockchain, it would appear that some amount of Bitcoin is going to some address. However, you're saying that it wouldn't actually be going to that address? Would that address just be an intermediary? Like, could you clarify?
Can I? No. Do I look like a Bitcoin dev? No.
Okay.
From what I know, it leverages multi-sig and it randomizes the amounts. And I'm going to butcher it if I keep going. But I'll add a link to the show notes for this if anybody wants to do a deep technical dive. But basically, it's a huge improvement over what we have. Not necessarily a huge improvement, but when you pair CoinSwaps with CoinJoining, with all the other privacy tools and advancements that are coming, especially with Lightning, it's going to really improve the Bitcoin privacy stack. And then pair that with good old Mnuchin and his nonsense, trying to regulate Bitcoin, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hopeful for Bitcoin, but they're going to try to throw up some roadblocks. John, have you dived? I don't know. Have you gone down this rabbit hole yet?
No, not yet. Just very lightly. And from having done that from the last few years, like and this may be like a little overconfident, but I just my baseline assumption is that Bitcoin is going to be able to evolve faster than regulations will be able to be erected around it. Now, there might be some crossover there, but ultimately that's kind of the punchline. So I know it can be extremely inconvenient in certain cases and in certain jurisdictions, but like my overarching faith is that regulations aren't, going to be a huge issue. But what is Mnuchin up to? Like, who's got where are the rumors coming from, and what are the specifics of what they think is going to happen, and what are the major concerns? I'm not too up to date on the specifics there.
Basically, they're trying to regulate the ability to have self-hosted wallets. So, I don't think that they're trying to outlaw it completely or anything like that, but it's more if you are an exchange, if you're sending Bitcoin to anybody, they are potentially trying to make it so that they would have to know, you would have to prove that you own the wallets that you're sending the Bitcoin to, which is just a huge hindrance on using Bitcoin in general.
And when is that expected? Is that expected to be pushed through before Trump potentially leaves office?
No, it's actually a bill sponsored by some Democrats for the most part. Warren Davidson and some other Republicans have pushed back with their own, not legislation, but a letter to the Treasury. And in fact, the acting comptroller of the currency, can't think of his name right now, was on CNBC last week, and I clipped this out. He says that Bitcoin is too important. As a technology, especially its store of value function is too important and it's too advanced at this point, that banning is not an option on the table. So that guy's an acting comptroller of the currency. He's going to be out of here pretty soon, but it's good to hear that kind of talk. And the bill is really kind of a Trojan horse because it's disguising itself as being applied to stable coins only, but it's written very broadly and could be applied to Bitcoin. And it's kind of messed up because you can't withdraw your coins unless you have a KYC registered wallet. And who knows from there. So then it's like a step toward the sort of two-tiered Bitcoin system of legit KYC'd coins and the illicit black market coins. So I don't know. That might happen anyway. We'll see. The black market coins will be worth a lot more than the KYC coins. So that might not be too bad of a thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of differing opinions on what could happen. I could see the black market thing coming to pass, but I don't know. I'm going to stay hopeful. I think we've got some allies in government now, so we will. Well,
that's why coin swaps are good. So coin swaps are really simple. It's like a bait and switch. So you send a transaction and it looks like it's going to one address, but it actually goes to another address. So if you use chain analysis on it, it really breaks those heuristics because they don't actually know where it ends up. It looks like it goes to one place according to chain analysis, and then it goes somewhere else. So it's pretty cool.
But the UTXO outset is still the same, right? This wouldn't break anything like summarizing or accumulating all the UTXOs and auditing the blockchain would still look the same. You just wouldn't actually know where that Bitcoin was.
No, it would make it so that it looks like not multiple transactions, but a single transaction. I don't know.
It just creates doubt, essentially, right? Like it's just a confusion, so it creates doubt. The whole aspect is so that it can't be traced. There is a illusion of some sort of doubt there, which is enough. Just that little tiny bit of doubt is enough to give you the privacy that many
legal protection.
I guess what Reed is asking is like, does it influence or impact the auditability of the blockchain, right?
No, you'll still be able to count all the UTXOs and add them up, but you just don't know where the transaction ends up. You don't know what UTXO is actually created on the other side of that transaction. It looks like one UTXO, but it's the other one because they're swapping the transactions, like swapping coins between several people. So it's sort of like a coin join that happens on, built into the base layer.
Right.
So it's like coin join every time a transaction is made.
Exactly. So folks, I want to shill Marty's newsletter real quick. If you don't know who Marty Bent is, you really should. martysbent.com. 1 second, let me put it up because I got really fired up yesterday and I made these 2 parody videos, which we're going to watch because I made them and I'm hosting the show, so I get to do what I want. And you should 100% sign up at martysbent.com. Read it every single day. I think it's one of the best newsletters out there. And yesterday he got really fired up about what Mnuchin is doing, and it got me fired up. So I took it upon myself to use the language from Marty's newsletter and make this little parody video. So let's watch and discuss, shall we? As Congressman Warren Davidson and Ted Budd and Senator Cynthia Lummis are well aware, Bitcoin is the greatest extension of natural rights since the Bill of Rights. As such, the Treasury Department will move to assume the position of omnipotent ruler who decides what you can and cannot do as an individual. In our eyes, your natural rights don't exist. You are too dangerous to yourself to make decisions for yourself. The state must tell you what you can and cannot do. This is so far off base from the principles this country was founded on that I find it hard to look in the mirror with a straight face and tell myself that we live in a free country. But then I remind myself about how much I have benefited from the Cantillon effect. I am going to handcuff the greatest, most liberating innovation the world has seen since the onset of the internet because I do not understand what I am attempting to regulate. Utterly disgusting as it is, Americans are about to be deprived of their opportunity to exercise their God-given right to protect their private property. Thank you. Anyway.
Very spot on. Very spot on.
He's got a distinctive voice, so I
does.
I could get it better. If you guys want, if y'all want, we could just spend the next 5 minutes trashing Mnuchin. I'm always happy to do that. I don't like ad hominem attacks from most people, but this guy.
It's fair game.
Yeah, he's like evil incarnate, and you like anyway. Let's not get too much into that.
Well, I mean, I think the attack is inevitable. I was just talking to maybe it was Shinobi on Twitter yesterday about like I think Bitcoin's next test is going to be the state, and that goes for Bitcoiners too, and that's why privacy aspects are so important. But I think when regulation comes into play, Bitcoin is this beast that they don't understand. And it's like they think they can control it, and then what they don't realize is that it's already too big. You know, they can't shut it down. So what does that look like for them? Do they tax it? Do they pull a 6102? Do they just try to go after the centralized exchanges and make them play their game? What that looks like, I don't know. I think we all should be educating ourselves on privacy and fighting for it. I think it's important. It's something that I'm still trying to kind of, I'm still learning about Bitcoin in general, trying to learn about how to do it in the most private way possible. Is a whole other journey. But I do think it's important. As far as what that regulation looks like, though, I don't know. But I do think we have allies. I do think that once you get Bitcoin in the pocket of more politicians, too, right, they benefit. So then it's that wonderful incentives aspect of Bitcoin that aligns so perfectly that the more people that benefit from it, why would they shut it down? So fine, we'll tax it. Or if you go through Coinbase, we want a percentage or whatever it may be. That's sort of my take on it. But yeah, I think he's a total douche. We could shut this down.
That's exactly the word I was thinking of.
I'm glad I could say it for you.
Took it right out of my mouth. Such a douche. Oh, that guy just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Makes me just want to. That picture of him and his wife and the smug looks on their faces after they had just spent, a decade fleecing, low-income people out of their like over-leveraged mortgages, et cetera, et cetera. Such a terrible, terrible person. And I'm glad he's going to be out of there. I love the Joe Kernan clip where Joe Kernan trolled the just fucking shit out of him on CNBC, right? Do you guys remember this clip?
Yeah.
So good. So good. Yeah. You should try to bring it up, Ricky. It's awesome. Because I won't do it justice, but Joe Kernan's talking to him about Bitcoin. He's like, I can promise you, as Treasury Secretary, I will never own Bitcoin. And Joe just laughs and looks off screen, and he's like, you're going to be loaded up on it.
Hold on. I got it right here.
It's one of my go-tos. I have to watch it every once in a while.
1 second. Let's see if we can get this to work. Bang, bang.
Swanish.
We're feeling Swanish.
There we go.
I won't be talking about Bitcoin in 10 years. I can assure you that.
But you might be in at least 6 years. As Treasury Secretary, as you just said.
Exactly. I would bet even in 5 or 6 years, I'm no longer talking about Bitcoin as Treasury Secretary. I'll have other priorities.
You'll be loaded up on Bitcoin and a gazillionaire.
I assure you, I will personally not be loaded up on Bitcoin.
I think we'll be talking about Bitcoin in 10 years.
So good. Makes
Oh.
me love Joe Kernan. Joe, you go, man. I would love to talk to Joe. I keep trying, and they're like, nope, sorry.
You gotta get
you
through
don't.
people.
Yeah, there's the whole signing process, and they're just like deny it. And like, you're not over the bar. Basically, is what they say.
So Pardis likes fired up Beer Brady, and I agree. I really like Beer Brady. It reminds me of if you ever see a live show, or sometimes on TFTC with Rabbit Hole Recap, like three drink Matt is great, 4 drink Matt is like even better, and then 5 drink Matt is just poof. It's just wonderful. So
Just makes the realness come out. I like it.
what was that?
Yeah.
Makes the realness come out. You get a little more blunt. You get a little more passionate. Fire comes out a little bit. It's always the best.
Yeah.
The uncensored talks are the best.
And then five drink Matt on Twitter after the show is even better. It's like that. It's like the after party, and Dan Held triggers him, and he just unleashes. So sometimes that happens.
There's been a lot of fire lately.
Yeah.
Corey just said that to me a couple hours ago. It's all the side. Anytime there's sideways action, if it lasts for more than a week, it's just everyone's like. Meh, 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 meh.
Yeah. I was so
Wonderful.
I know I made a joke about it, but I was just so proud of myself that I realized damn, Justine, you haven't gotten in a fight with anybody in 2 weeks. This is great. I mean, it's a new record. I was all proud. There's all these fights going on, and I'm just over here oh, what curtain should I hang up? So yeah, I was patting myself on the back.
I used to pride myself on not getting trolled, and as I say this, I know someone's going to troll me now, but I used to get trolled all the time, and then I didn't know how to handle it, and it took me a little while, and now I've achieved troll zen. And come at me, folks. There's almost nothing you can say that would get a rise out of me.
Well, you haven't accomplished anything until you get trolled, right? So you have to know how to handle it if you're going to be famous of any sort. So consider yourself famous now.
I mean, honestly, Brecky, it seems like Steve Mnuchin triggers you.
But that's different. That's getting triggered versus Steve's not directly trolling me personally. Not when he goes in front of Congress. Hey Brecky, if you're watching, I'm gonna make it really difficult for you. So
You should take it personally, Brecky. We should all take it personally.
Yeah.
It's time to take a stand.
But no, I'm not a celebrity. I made a joke yesterday about B-list celebrities with the Bitcoin logo, and I think that's something really important that a lot of people actually don't realize when they come into Bitcoin is they want to be the star. It's the human nature to want to be recognized, blah blah blah. But if what you're doing isn't in service to Bitcoin, you're gonna run into trouble. And I think a lot of newcomers have this issue. And
Are you referring to something specific, Brecky?
Person who maybe is rubbing Bitcoiners the wrong way right now.
Actually, well, no, I wasn't referring to him. I was referring to another him. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to. Let's.
No, but I think that it's adorable. You see people coming in, they're like, "Oh, look, I'm here. I'm here to save Bitcoin. These are all the things that you guys clearly have been missing. I'm glad I'm here." Yeah, I think that it humbles a lot of people, for sure. I think that the immune system here is top notch. So if you are not prepared, you are going down very quickly. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Exactly. All right, so time to do some swan shilling. I mean, let's look at the 21 most influential Bitcoin projects and companies of 2020. Wait, no, wrong one. How do I rearrange people? Sorry, folks. We've got a new interface, and I'm trying to make it work.
There you go.
Is that working? Are we there? All right, let's change this. So I wanted to go through some of these projects because there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in Bitcoin, and if you're new to the space, not everyone knows about these things. So let's talk real quick. First, we have Bisq. Bisq is pretty awesome. I've yet to try it, but it's on my to-do list. It is a decentralized. No, censorship resistant on ramp and off ramp for Bitcoin without KYC. So if you're not into the KYC thing, or you want to have a non KYC stack in addition to your KYC stack, definitely check it out. And guests, if you have any experience with any of these things that I'm going to be mentioning, and you want to throw some shine on them or comment, please let me know. Blue Wallet, great Lightning wallet. My favorite. Sorry, Blue Wallet. Let's move on. BTC Pay Server. We love BTC Pay Server here. It is a self-sovereign payment processor. I use it on my website. If you're running a small business or any business, any of these things that I'm going to be mentioning, and you want to, who's got an echo there, huh? Let's keep going.
Swanbitcoin.com/BTC Pay. Start stacking with that code, and 25% of your fees on every purchase will go to support the project. Pretty cool.
1 second. Let's do some proper chilling. Let's get it on the screen for everybody. Although I think everyone in the chat by now is probably stacking a Swan already. Swanbitcoin.com/BTC Pay. Go there, please. Use that link. CoinKite, if you're looking for a hardware wallet, I'm going to just go through these quickly. Go get a cold card. It's my favorite. It's the best one out there for Bitcoiners. You really feel kind of like I felt like a cypherpunk for the first time in my life, and I'm not a real cypherpunk, so there's that. Fold. I've been tweeting about them constantly. Man, there are a lot of projects on here. Shit. Fold. Go stack some sats. It's an amazing way. I just got the Fold card. I can't speak more highly of them. Also Lolly, but they're not on the list for God knows what reason. Hodl Hodl. If you're watching our show, you probably don't need Hodl Hodl, but they're awesome. They're in Europe. Another great option. The Human Rights Foundation. If you know Alex Gladstein, you probably know about the Human Rights Foundation, but we also allow you to stack sats, and we will donate those sats to the Human Rights Foundation. So go to swanbitcoin.com/HRF. All right, you know what? I think I'm boring people. The whole point was that Swan Bitcoin's on there. Anyway, all right, I'm done.
Took too long to get to your show, man.
Ricky, you gotta read the room, bro.
Yeah, there's some really good companies on there too. I will jump in and chill. Fold card is amazing, freaking amazing. I'm right there with you. I was impressed with the app. Like when they first announced it months ago that they were going to have this card that you could use as a debit card and earn, I was like, oh, I'll get on the list. And I didn't try the app till maybe a month ago, and I was like, holy fuck, what have I been doing with my life? Like, do you know how much money I've spent at Lowe's trying to build this house, and I could have been earning, Bitcoin on all of that. So if you're not signed up, go get the app. It's free. Yeah, earn some sats. Also, yeah, Cold Card's amazing. It's my favorite hardware wallet. Yeah, good projects on there. Blue Wallet, I'm trying out Blue Wallet. I agree, it's not my favorite currently, but I'm giving it a try because
it's a good beginner Lightning wallet and regular wallet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it has the App Store built in there, like the lap stores. You can use Lightning apps and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. And Fold, just to reiterate, like I've been using Fold for probably over a year now at least. I like the amount of Bitcoin I've gotten from Fold is absurd, and now it's going up and up and up.
It is absurd.
You did a video for them, didn't you? I remember seeing a video of you.
It does require. Correct me if I'm wrong. I actually haven't used Fold, but it does require this like 3-step process. You like pre-fund Fold, then you can spend off your Fold card, and then you have to like sign into the app and spin a wheel or something.
That's if you use the Visa. Yeah, you can just buy gift cards without ever getting the Visa card. Like you need to get. You seriously are losing a lot of money. Like you gave me a heart attack when you said you haven't used it yet.
Because I don't spend very much money.
Oh, you will spend money. Like Amazon, for God's sake, like Amazon and Starbucks. That's like my whole life.
I live in a tiny Citadel town. Amazon doesn't serve here. Like Starbucks, we don't have any Starbucks in town. Like,
I'm so sorry.
I love that. So for the app for audience, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I will.
I was just going to say, so for the audience knows, because people were a little confused as well. So for the app, like you do go in and you have to buy a gift card, which totally turned me off in the beginning. But as an example, like I was at Lowe's the other day, kind of configured how much was going to be in my cart, went in, quickly bought a gift card through them, used the barcode at the register, like super, super instant. So for people who are wondering, it's not that difficult to use the gift card aspect. For the card, though, reads right. It's like a prepaid debit card. You put money onto the card. Sometimes that takes a couple days depending on your bank, and then you can use that to earn extra sats. You like spin the wheel after you use on that, but just an app you get to spend daily. I've just on the daily like spend app, I've earned thousands of sats just from going in there doing that.
So, for instance, with Amazon, you pay with fiat, it's like 2.5% back on your purchase. You pay with Lightning, which you can do very easily with Strike for a $200 Amazon card, it's 4% back. If you use your Fold card, it's 5% back. So it's like definitely encouraging you to use that Fold card, and it's amazing. It's perfect. Like, just I'm not going to use anything else. So all of my purchasing from now on is going to be through the Fold card because I'm just earning mad
They
sats.
just announced Apple Pay.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
picked it up.
It's
I
a
mean,
good way for people who maybe are just getting started and they can earn some Bitcoin. And we all know that once you have it in your hands, like you get it way more involved in it. So for some people, might be the only way they'll ever get to hold Bitcoin. I think that's pretty kick-ass.
all you need to know is I'm over 1 million sats stacked on Fold.
Yeah, I always share. So it was like last year, Black Friday, I got on Fold and I got on Lolly. Between those two things in a year, I've accumulated over $1,000 in Bitcoin. I don't know what that says a lot about my spending, so we don't need to pat myself too much on the back. But I mean, it seriously is. I'm buying stuff anyway. It really does work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was, John is back, and here we are. I was talking to Will Reeves about this the other day. Will's the founder of Fold, and I was basically saying, like, your app is incentivizing me in such weird ways. Like, it's incentivizing my fiat brain, but also my Bitcoin brain. It's very, the game theory is crazy, especially with the wheel too. Like, it's like, do I really need to buy this? Yes. Okay, good.
Oh shit, I haven't spun today.
No, this is exactly why I haven't gone into any Bitcoin purchasing platform, because I do not want to buy any more stuff. It's like I could spend $100 and get 2% back, or I could just buy $100 of Bitcoin.
You're gonna buy.
Well,
you're
you
gonna
don't
buy
have
stuff.
to buy.
You can whatever you
the app. You can just spend and
Reed,
earn.
you're gonna
like,
buy
today
stuff.
I earned 500 sats just by pushing a button. It's not a lot, but it adds up.
You buy.
It adds up.
You buy really sexy 80s ski outfits. You can stack. You can stack.
You could have
them.
had Bitcoin back on that. Just
Or Reed, you got bills to pay, right? You got rent, you got utilities. Like, you could use it for that too. You're not stacking as hard as you could, and I'm ashamed.
As in, you could use it for peer-to-peer payments as well. Like, you get cash back on peer-to-peer payments.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know.
Even who has like Apple Pay. So like I paid my cell phone bill with it. And I earned some Bitcoin on that. I have to pay that. Like I totally am with you on the not spending. If I wasn't trying to build and furnish, like I don't spend money. I don't shop. I don't do any of it. But like lately, Amazon and Lowe's have been some pretty constant things for me, and being able to earn Bitcoin on that is pretty cool. But all that aside, like you could just go into the app every day and spin a wheel and earn some Bitcoin.
So
just put it out there.
We've got a question from the audience. Some guy I've never heard of named Corey Clipston. He asks, question for Aaron, what questions have you been getting about Bitcoin and who from?
So I think some of the most frequent questions I get asked is like, what do you do with it? How does it work? Where does it go? And I get it from a lot of newbies and just trying to understand exactly where it goes. What does it look like? Like, what does it mean if I have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin? And then the wallet. I know that was my biggest thing to overcome. And I get a lot of questions about how to move things over to a wallet and what that looks like. And I would say those are the most frequent ones. And then I send them to Swan, just saying.
Like, what are your sort of existing wallet recommendations?
Oh, so you guys are talking about, I'll show you. I got my cold card. So I do Trezor. And if I can say it, and Ledger. That's what I've currently used. I bought this thing and it intimidates the crap out of me. It's still in its package, and that's the problem with this, is like it's kind of scary. Like I'm putting all my money, and if I screw this up, it's gone. So I've had that one recommended to me, the CoinKite one, several times. I have to sit down and really spend a half a day trying to figure it out, and I'm terrified too. So that's my next one to try.
Meadow Dill's got your back. Matt Odell's got your back. Just,
I've heard.
Go to YouTube, Matt Odell cold card. It'll come up, and it's really easy. It's not that hard. He walks you right through it.
Yeah.
So there's
it is like, it's intimidating, but it's once you start doing it, it's not. Like we talked about with the node thing, it seems really hard, and then you jump into it. Like I'm using mine with Spectre and my node, and it's like, oh, okay, that didn't hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just take the chance. Don't throw all your money on there, obviously, and when, your first chance. But you can jump on. You can set it up. Like you don't have to have any funds involved whatsoever. Explore with it. Throw a little bit on there. Yeah. Get comfortable.
All right.
Sorry.
I'm gonna do it.
I wanted to say also that there are two options for learning about cold card. BTC Sessions has some great videos also, but there's kind of a trade-off to be made. So Matt's probably a little harsher, a little more to the point, and not as beginner friendly as Benny is. But Matt, he's got some great hands, I got to say. Like you watch his video and it's like the hands only. He could be a hand model. So it's a trade-off, You got Benny, but you got Matt. You can watch both. But
little George Costanza there for us, huh?
I don't think Matt would like that. The Costanza of Bitcoin. All right. We talked about it earlier, the GigaChad, but now we're at the point of my list where the GigaChad is on the list. So what can we say about this guy? I mean, like the $450 million offering turned into a $650 million offering. I guess it was an option built in, but he's become the Terra Chad. He's I don't even think we've seen his final form. So anybody have any thoughts on Mr. Saylor before we move on?
I think he must like Bitcoin, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I can't quite tell.
I go to John when I have questions about Michael because he got to chat with him, and that's how John became a superstar today. Obviously,
the best
popular for us.
The best Saylor interview on my favorite Bitcoin podcast.
Hands down.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I think it's obvious, right? He's fucking crazy for Bitcoin, like we all are. He just has this machine that he's able to leverage to buy more sats than most of us. And I think he's, because he had that switch flip, like now, what's interesting, what I pointed out on my interview with him was his transformation, right? I don't know if any of you actually bothered to go back and look at even up until December 2019, he looked very different. His energy, his appearance, the color of his hair, everything. And now he's so much more, he seems revivified and rejuvenated and energized. And we know why that happens. It's happened to all of us to some degree. And I think he's now just totally focused. He knows what this thing is, or he at least we share an opinion on that. And he's thinking, the only rational move is to leverage all of my available resources to accumulate more space, to stake more territory on this thing, because in 5, 10, 100 years, you're going to be really, really glad you did that. And I love now from the perspective of the world that he's coming from, I can see, like, I think it's possible that people in his life, or at least in his business, might be somewhat concerned about these moves. Not that, he got a great deal. He's basically getting free money. He can service the debt to buy Bitcoin. Unless Bitcoin dies, then it's a pretty safe bet. But, I noticed some of the share sales by some of the insiders in MicroStrategy. And I don't know, they've just had 20 years of basically flat, share price. So maybe they're just taking the price action the last 2 months and saying, now's my time to cash out. And maybe Saylor's a little bit kooky, and I don't want to risk my options with that. So they're taking some money off the table, which fair enough. But he really seems to be reorienting a lot of the stuff he's doing from his personal perspective, but more importantly from the company's perspective around Bitcoin. And I think we would all do the same, and that's probably why we all applaud the move and are jealous that we can't all do something similar.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a few interesting comments and questions in the chat that I want to address. First, somebody was asking what is this move, and can you explain it in layman's terms? And basically what MicroStrategy is doing is offering what's called convertible notes. It's essentially an offering where, you will buy this note. There's an interest rate that is quote unquote guaranteed, but essentially Saylor and MicroStrategy can do whatever they want with the money. And they've said that they want to buy Bitcoin. And when the note comes due, they can either give you cash or they can give you shares in MicroStrategy. It's kind of an interesting way to get exposure to Bitcoin. Not something that I would ever buy, but if you're a big institution,
those guys buying those bonds, I guess they I mean, and they sold them. They sold them so fast, right? They posted today that they're gone, $650 million worth. All right, so I guess the thing is, right? You think you might, be able to buy the shares in 5 years instead, convert them to shares instead, but the clause says that it's at MicroStrategy's discretion.
Exactly.
Okay. So MicroStrategy would be like, hey, our shares have mooned. We're just going to go ahead and give you the cash plus 0.75% back. Sorry, maybe you should have bought the Bitcoin instead. But he's playing this game where he's playing off the lack of conviction, and the 0.75, which is way lower than most corporate debt goes. He's playing off the fact that corporate treasuries are at an all-time low and probably won't go anywhere else. And the community, that's why they got snatched up at 0.75%. So it's like this perfect speculative attack play. Pierre Rochard wrote this great article in 2014 about speculative attacks, and it moves from putting your treasury, your assets, your equity into Bitcoin, as he did with the moving his cash, his reserve, treasury reserve into Bitcoin as a reserve asset. The next step is to take out debt in the bad money and buy the good money. And that's where it just starts to exponentially advance. And then eventually people are just like, okay, I'm going to buy some with the money I have. And then everyone's like, oh shit, I have to take out debt and buy some more. And then it's, that's hyper Bitcoinization. That's how it happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I think is important. I'm just going to jump in and this is probably, I don't know what I got. But for most people, taking out a bunch of debt to buy Bitcoin is maybe not the best idea. People should be intelligent about this decision. If you have to pay rent, you probably shouldn't use your money to speculate in a short-term way. But in MicroStrategy's situation, they have essentially no debt on their book, right? And so they're a corporation that makes a lot of money. They have room to take on debt. And so he's essentially leveraging his faith in Bitcoin against the dollar, which is failing.
Yes.
He's like, okay, I see an opportunity to take on debt and grow Bitcoin or his collection of Bitcoin. So just throwing that out there.
That's obvious, disclaimer noted and very responsible of you, Justine. And of course, we've had that kind of ethos in the space for a while, but there's no material difference between what he's doing as a company to what an individual can do. I mean, obviously he has more options for getting the capital and issuing the debt and stuff like that. But the punchline is he's borrowing money that he can easily service through his income. And he's playing that opportunity to accumulate more Bitcoin because he assumes that Bitcoin is going to appreciate more than the cost of his debt. And, I know just the way Bitcoiners are and how crazy they are about sats after this move, just like his move for the corporate treasury move, where a lot of corporate treasuries are now having to look at this. I know it's piqued a lot of people's interest. Like, hey, could I pull off a move like this? Like, could I borrow money? Could I service it from my income? Even if it's a 12 to 24 month sort of little arbitrage opportunity. And it's hard to make a case against it. Now, you can easily get out of control with that. And that's the danger. And you want to make sure that you don't do that. And of course, the safest bet is don't borrow money to buy Bitcoin. But it's not like never do it. It's be very, very careful.
It's be smart. Some people can totally do it and it's fine. If you've got a bunch of income coming in, why wouldn't you do that? If you can sit on it, what's your long-term goal? If you can when I tell people about Bitcoin, it's okay, you should decide how much you're holding or how much you're going to buy based on how much you can hold. How long are you holding? What's your goal? If you need to have this money in 3 weeks time period and you're just leveraging everything on the fact that Bitcoin's going to go up and you're going to make money, I wouldn't do that personally. Power to you if you do, but I just.
If I could borrow money at 3 0.75% interest, I would load up. It's just not available to us, right?
True.
Yeah, don't
True.
go maxing your 17% credit card out to buy Bitcoin.
No, but even
Smart.
look at,
I'm just throwing it out there.
well, it's like I just refinanced our mortgage at like 2.5%. I mean,
Yep.
that's kind of free money. And normally I'd be one to say pay off your mortgage, but at 2.5%, well, do you really need to? I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of
Well, there's
money out there
Yeah.
right now.
well, there's so many aspects that you can save on. I mean, kind of like Reed was talking about, he doesn't spend money. Like, that's the way I live life. Is I'm not spending money. Why would I spend money on these extra things that aren't important to me? I can just invest in my future. Like, since I've gotten into Bitcoin, I have more savings than I ever have because, that's what I see value in. That's what I'm going to throw money at, not whatever other social aspects or material things or, live below my means so I can invest more in the future. Those are all really smart moves. But yeah, just, I'm just trying to be the voice of reason here a little bit. I don't disagree with it. I just mean, some people only see short term. Just be smart.
The other thing to
Stop being a party pooper now.
No, it's good you're being the voice of reason. And the other thing to consider also is that, there's a big difference between a company taking on debt and an individual taking on debt.
Right.
Companies
100%.
can go bankrupt and Michael Saylor, his personal assets are fine. You take on a personal loan, so.
But who knows? Who knows? He might be taking out personal loans. I wouldn't put it past him, man. He's got 250 million on his personal balance sheet. He'd be like, hey,
I mean,
I'm
if you
gonna
can,
sell a
why
few
not?
yachts.
He's got some collateral
It's
too.
smart.
It's
I
true.
mean, I know the comments
it.
are kind of mentioning it. Peter did that recently. Peter McCormick, I guess, came out and said he did it. I mean, if you have income coming in and you can pay it off, like, why not? Why not leverage that?
I would love to see Giga Chad sell off 3 of his 5 yachts,
Just
3 of
about-
his 4 houses, start buying Bitcoin, and then we can just say, look, all right, this is the premise that we've all been talking about for a long time. You have a monetary premium on assets like yachts and houses. He doesn't need that anymore. He's got a real store of value. So he's just going to go down to 1 house, 1 yacht, and he's good to go.
He can,
Those are his children, Brady. How dare you?
houses can be a good investment long term. Real estate's good, but those nice houses are probably filled with very, very nice chairs. And what he should be doing is selling those nice chairs because, as Pierre Richard says, chairs are a scam. So I think that's the move. Maybe get rid of the yachts, but
5 mansions with no chairs.
So a few other comments I wanted to quickly say. Manus in the chat, and I kind of have to agree with him. He says, I'm getting pretty sick of this Saylor guy, good vibes. And I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like the Bitcoin immune system coming here and just getting a little worried that we might have to kill our heroes. And somebody else said, which made me really, really laugh, MicroStrategy is going to become the Tyrell Corporation.
Oh, shit.
So if we got any fellow nerds watching, you know what that is.
Mr. Robot. Good show.
So, no, not Mr. Robot. Was it? I think that's Blade Runner, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mr. Robot has a character named Tyrell, though. That's what I'm getting confused. Yeah.
So,
It's E-Corp. It's E-Corp and Mr. Robot.
And yeah, we've been talking about this for a while now, and he's kind of strayed from what do you call it, like classic Bitcoin maximalism. I don't even know. I think they're going to end up being a chain analysis company. They're going to be doing some things that people aren't going to be happy with, and it's just going to be what it's going to be, and we'll see what happens. So,
yeah. So, all right, my two problems with Michael Saylor so far. One, privacy. All right, he just looks at all right, Bitcoin solves a store of value problem for him. That's what it solves. All right, he doesn't need it to be a medium of exchange. He doesn't think it should be a medium of exchange necessarily. He thinks it should just stick to being a store of value, and let other maybe centralized technologies compete for that. And then he also said that we need to be playing nice with regulators as this thing matures, which is great for him. I get that. But there's certain regulations, especially that have already been, put forward, that are absolutely like non-starter, in my opinion. So he may be fine with KYCing all his self-storage. He probably already has because of corporate regulations that already exist. I sure as hell am not okay with that. And I sure as hell am not okay with us giving up the project of Lightning Network to create a second layer, self-sovereign payment system on top of Bitcoin that is private, because we're building a payments panopticon right now. And maybe Saylor's not worried about that. I am. And there are lots of other people around the world whose problems, are not necessarily store value so much, but are, privacy issues, censorship issues, and just having some cash. Like, we're moving toward a cashless society. We need something to act as digital cash, and it's not going to be any central bank digital currency. So, maybe he hasn't thought a lot about those things. Maybe he has thought about them, and he thinks that they're a threat to Bitcoin being a viable store of value in the future. I would love to talk to him more about it, but I definitely disagree with a couple of tweets that he put out to those ends. So there you go. Whoever is done with the, tired of the worship of Michael Saylor, there you go. A couple of points that I don't disagree with.
We just got a comment in the chat that I'm going to read and put on screen because I'm a massive Aldous Huxley fan. Every idol, however exalted, turns out in the long run to be a Moloch, hungry for human sacrifice. So think on that for a little while.
That's very deep.
I agree. I'm not a fan of the heroes in the space anyways. I'm a fan of Bitcoin always seems to slay its heroes. I'm not sure why so many are just so set on having them in the first place, but I won't argue that. I think Saylor's found a cool thing. He's really passionate about it. Solves the store of value for him, like Brady said. There's a lot of things he says I'm not so sure about. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, Bitcoin is essentially going to be for everyone. It's for enemies. It's for your friends. It's for whoever. The beauty is that he doesn't have the power to change it. So he can do whatever the hell he wants. He can say whatever he wants. But yeah, I do think that I've been waiting patiently for that time where Bitcoiners are like, oh shit, you got to slay him. This has come, which it has a little bit. But yeah, I think it's inevitable. But
it's coming. Either way, there's good things and there's bad things. He's definitely having an influence on corporate FOMO and making waves in the world of Bitcoin. Absolutely. That are good. Yeah. So
and I think one of the big contributions he's made is compellingly framed it as this like technological phenomenon, which is one very true narrative that you can paint the picture of. And I think maybe more than anyone, any like advocate we've had has painted that picture really clearly and beautifully. That this is the next Apple, this is the next monetary network. I think my one concern, sort of long term, is if you look at, if you take that lens and only that lens, you can sort of ignore the fact that we aren't really just fighting central banking. Like, central banking is, a big thing that we're going after with Bitcoin, but more than that, it's just sort of any sort of government overreach into people's lives and any coercion that comes from the government, and central banking is, maybe the largest, but you can have it in many other forms. And so if you allow censorship in any form, even if you don't have a central bank, that just leads to serious problems. and like looking at like the evil thing that we're really sort of like trying to push back on is not just, Steve Mnuchin. It's not just a central bank. It's like government in any form reaching into people's lives and forcing them to do things that they don't want to do.
Exactly.
I think like always, it's somewhat difficult to look beyond your own set of incentives. And that's probably a little bit what's going on there. From having talked to him, and we've all listened to a lot of his podcasts, like, I do think his heart and mind are largely in the right place, but he's coming from a vastly different perspective than most of us. And that's not an excuse for him, but I can see why it might elicit a different approach to all of this than the one that we may more closely share. And so, with the comments that he made, my stance is more like, that feels a bit off. I would like to talk to you and get more detailed response from what you're actually trying to say, or what your intent is, or what your meaning is there, before I slay you. Because I think you're a fucking badass dude, and I actually do, I like the guy, and I think he's done a lot of good for stuff. So for that one, I'm willing to, keep my sword sheathed for a little while until I, talk it out with him and see where his head's really at, and then then proceed accordingly after that. But that's one that I'm willing to wait a bit more on. Like if he starts repping XRP and all the rest of it, then the sword will come right out real quick. But for him, I'd like a little more clarification first and talk it out and see where his head's really at.
I definitely don't see that happening. Yeah, go ahead, Justine.
I don't see him. But he has a point with the regulation aspects. Like when he comes from it from such a corporate standpoint, corporations don't look at Bitcoin and be like, "Damn, look at these bastards who are just hardcore, anon characters talking about, censorship." That's not important to them. They don't want that. They want, okay, it's a good store of value. Is it secure? Is this something that I could put my cash reserves in and know that it's going to be safe? So he's coming from it from a totally different view. I get what he's talking about. And yes, you can play nice with regulators when they're playing nice with you. And then when it's time to push back, you push back hard. So I don't think he's evil. I just think that he's just totally coming from a different perspective entirely.
But I think he's savvy.
No CEO wants to sort of end up in the position of like John McAfee or Arthur Hayes from BitMEX, right? Like when they start knocking on your door, you sort of have to play nice with them. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to go overseas. And so I can understand the incentives of why he's saying like play nice with regulators and like, we don't need payments to be private.
Yeah, I think he's savvy to the Trojan horse sort of argument here, and he's a bright guy, and he could very well be playing 4D chess amongst all the different pieces on the board. But what I like to think about, because he praised the cyber hornets and the approach of this space's immune system and how ferocious it can be. And I just wonder the moment where he was scrolling through Twitter and he realized like that the swarm had kind of turned on him, like what his reaction was. He was like, well, this was going to happen eventually, or like, well, holy fuck, they're on me now. This is what it's like, or whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
I really did.
I'm going to corner him as self-appointed social chair of the 100K party. not self-appointed, co-social chair, I should say.
I want to be in the corner.
I'm gonna use my status to corner him at the bar in his yacht and just start talking to him about privacy and about why medium of exchange is important on top of the base layer. And, it's going to be like that meme where the dude's shouting into the girl's ear on the loud dance floor. And I'm totally going to convince him that way.
I think there's hope for these regulators. There is. Yesterday I was watching the live stream from the European Central Bank, and I really enjoyed what Christine Lagarde had to say. I think she's inspiring, and for a central banker, she understands Bitcoin. So I'm going to play a quick clip from my favorite part from yesterday, and then we can discuss the European Central Bank quick.
Did you buy the dip? Did you buy the dip? You did not buy the dip? I bought the dip. Of course I bought the dip. Anyway, welcome. Let's tell all these people to have fun staying poor. Hello, I am Christine Lagarde, and I am here to tell you that you should have fun staying poor. We are going to do absolutely nothing to help you, and you will enjoy it. You will own nothing, and you will enjoy it. It will be great. Anyway, now, I'm sure you've all heard of this thing called Bitcoin. It is very dangerous. It is going to boil the oceans, and you should stay as far away from Bitcoin as you can. Please do not buy any Bitcoin. Take your trust and put it in the European Central Bank, because you may have heard of something called Austrian economics. The Austrians don't know anything about what they are talking about. Only the central banks can save the world. And I am here, Christine Lagarde, to save the world. And you might ask yourself now, but Christine, Central banks have never helped the world. How are they going to help this time? Well, this time is different. And you might be saying to yourself, well, I am a citizen of the European Union, so how is this going to benefit me directly? Can I borrow some of this money that is being printed? And the answer is no, you may not. Only a bank may get some of this money.
She's with it, right?
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I died. I see that shows up in my time. I like cackled my ass off. It was hilarious. Well done, sir.
I watched it 4 or 5 times.
Brady's urging me to do more of those videos. So folks at home, if you're watching, you have ideas for videos like this, please send them over and we will do our best. Maybe we can start doing them on debuting them on Swan Lounge. That'd be a lot of fun.
I want like some Marvel characters, like heroes and villains talking about Bitcoin and fiat. You know, like Batman and the Joker going back and forth. I don't know. That's first thing came to my head.
I like that one. Somebody saying that my Australian is better than my French. No, my French is better than my Australian. See, the sad part is, I think you're referring to the opening video. That wasn't supposed to be Australian. So need to do more practicing. But what do we think about central banks? I mean, like, I don't understand these people. I don't understand, like, they're so entrenched in their mindsets, or do they know what they're doing? Like, do they realize that, like, I don't know, somebody allay my concerns or fears, or I don't even think that's possible.
I think we're all in shock. I mean, just with government in general. I mean, you know, it goes back to the regulation of. You've got super old guys or women, mostly guys, making decisions on stuff they have no idea about, and any technology, right? And it's frightening, and they are so set in their ways, and it's moving at speeds that they can't. I mean, I know it sounds cruel, but they can't comprehend. I mean, look at the Facebooks and the Google regulations of the world, and it is frightening that these are the people making the decisions for us on a lot of these things. And yeah,
it's definitely going to be interesting, especially with central bank digital currencies. I'm actually kind of curious to see who adopts them first, how they adopt them. Maybe a country will come out and peg one to Bitcoin. Like, you never know. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All right, Brady, we'll say goodbye to you for half a second. You'll be back. The show is less without you. We're very sad.
You know, with the central banks, it's always the question, you know, because the inner sanctum of those institutions is so tight knit ultimately around the world. So we don't, you know, of course we can't know. And trying to piece together a picture of the world lends itself to thinking, like, when we see how egregious the offenses are and how negative the outcomes of their behavior are, we wind up thinking, like, it must be some kind of a conspiracy to control and to enslave and stuff like that. And it very well could be. But the more I think about it, you know, the more I think it's like, it's a narcissism almost. Like, of course, once you get a certain degree of power and you have that influence, but I think these people, whether they're the heads of the central banks or the heads of states, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the video of Canada's finance minister lately talking about, you know, preloaded stimulus and all the rest of it. Like, I think they just think what's required for things to work, quote unquote, is that someone manages it to work, and that someone they've anointed themselves as it being them. And I wonder sometimes if it's not just that. It's just a bunch of people that kind of don't have enough faith in individuals to sort things out for themselves, and they feel like, hey, someone smart like me has to come in and control things for people that don't know, you know, that can't take care of themselves, sort of thing. It's probably a mix, but you know, I wonder how much it's just, you know, straight up kind of narcissism more than anything.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't think it's pure maliciousness, much more that they genuinely do believe that they can help other people, and they're trying. And it's getting very conflated because they see themselves gaining power and see themselves gaining influence and see themselves gaining money, and all their assets are going up in price. And then anything that doesn't follow the narrative, it's pretty easy to write off because their lives are improving as these members who are closest to the water spigot. But I don't think that it's like, I don't think they could live with themselves. They're like, you're genuinely aware that they're just fucking over the vast majority of people. And I just don't think they realize it.
Incentives, yeah.
I don't think they realize it either, but I think a lot of it's the incentives. Like their incentive is to keep this show going. Their incentive is to keep the machine going. I mean, analogy is when you look at this space and you look at shitcoiners, and I was one, so I feel like I can speak on it. Like when the incentives are aligned, that this is what I have to do because this is where my bag is and this is where my incentives are. People start to act a little bit weird, you know, like people do things that you wouldn't think that they would normally do, but you know, the aligning of incentives is human nature. And that's why Bitcoin's so badass, because you can't fuck it up. The incentives are designed in a way that everything helps Bitcoin. Everything
It's like,
does. But yeah.
I was going to say, it's like the Space Coast theme that you were referring to earlier, where, you know, it's like, I'm here to fix Bitcoin. And like, they can try that with Bitcoin, but it just ain't going to work. Whereas they can actually, they can cause an effect in the central bank when they say that. So,
and you know,
I want to be clear. I think there are some evil bastards in the government. I don't want to, like, I think the central banks, and I think that, you know, there's a long running.
Don't worry.
Just want to clarify, I don't think they're all naive, but I think a lot of the people we see are very just like, well, no, I'm helping. This is what I'm doing. We're keeping it going.
Yeah, and one of the things that makes those people feel so anointed and feel like they have a right to occupy those positions of power and control is that so many other people seem as though they desire them to be in that position and praise them. Like, you know, look at the political leaders of the day, your Obamas and your Lagardes and whomever else. Like when they go to events and stuff, they're fawned over by people. And so they develop this attitude of like, oh, like I'm somehow, you know, intellectually superior. I people trust in me to make these decisions. And it may even, like, yes, I think they're motivated by their incentives, and I do think they want power and control to some degree, even if some of that is subconscious. But I think they're like, oh, like people want me to take care of them, so by golly, I'm gonna try to do that. And the only tools they have at their disposal are tools that ultimately sow the seeds for their own destruction. But it's on such an expanded timeline that they're able to feign that they're actually doing it, even possibly successfully for a certain period of time, and they exist with their own inside their own bubbles as well, so they don't see the degree of dislocation a lot of times that, you know, the man or woman on the street may see. So it is this, you know, extremely convoluted system of bizarre incentives, narcissism, misinformation, and a number of other things. And again, that's what's so beautiful about Bitcoin, because all of that is pretty much dissolved away, and the bare naked truth is right there in front of you for everyone to engage in to the degree that they wish and they're informed and capable of doing so. And what emerges off of that is all of this that we're currently participating in, and it's fucking beautiful.
So we got an interesting comment that Camilla brought up, Camilla Campton in the chat. Younger people nowadays seem to prefer the government to fix everything.
100%.
And it's, yeah, that's a really interesting, I mean.
Well, and I feel fixes are very short term too. Like, I mean, you know, the knee jerk reactions. Okay, we have, you know, we're getting shut down. Stimulus. And it's just, I feel like nobody's looking at, okay, we print all this money, then what? I know we need to, you know, we have to build up the economy, but what's it worth to us in the future? And everybody's fix me now. The fact that people aren't frightened that we're printing all this money is terrifying to me. And it's all about short-term gains. And I feel like even every president it's about, let me get the economy where it needs to be now, never thinking about what's going to happen in, you know, 5 years, 10 years, et cetera. And I think that's what drives me insane is all these decisions are, I'm going to help you, to your point, I'm going to help you. I'm going to be this hero, but even if it may only last a year.
Long-term thinking.
It's short-term thinking, but I mean, when you think about the young generations, it's that quote, you know, like good times makes weak men. When have they ever done anything for themselves? When have they ever had to, you know, go out and be like, oh, okay, this is really hard work, but I benefit in this way or another. They're so used to a Band-Aid. Fix it. Just Band-Aid, fix it. And of course the government's the one that does it because they got all the money. So it's fine. They'll fix it for us. And so I think it's just part of the cycle. It's unfortunate. It's one of the things I really love about Bitcoin is it sort of brings out the sovereign aspects in individuals that maybe never considered them before, and makes them stronger as human beings. But yeah, I think it's just part of that cycle that everybody's just so used to a Band-Aid that that's what they expect from the daddy government. I'm good without.
100%. So
Brandon Quittem wrote about that cycle, right? That's where you're getting the you're either getting it from that article, or you're getting it from the Fourth Turning book. Good
I
times.
listened to John's podcast last night with Brandon and Dan.
Yes.
So this is very freshly on my mind.
Exactly. And you're right. It is true. And especially in an age, well, it's really easy sell for governments to say, hey, we're going to drop a paycheck into your bank account every month. Hey, download this app and we'll send you free Fed coins every time you make a purchase at Amazon, right? We're like the Fold app of Fed coin, all of that stuff. And they can push, negative interest rates like, hey, it looks like you need a little help. We'll give you $10,000 at a negative interest rate to rebuild your house and stuff like that. You can start incentivizing behaviors. It's crazy what can happen, right? They know what's happening. They know. I don't think at this point that there are naive people in the Federal Reserve. And Danielle DiMartino Bruth wrote a book called Fed Up about this around the 2008 financial crisis. She got fed up with the Federal Reserve because she was watching what happened in these conversations in the Federal Reserve boardrooms when they were 12 governors of the Federal Reserve banks around the country were meeting up to talk about what to do and how to respond. And the response was massive, QE 1, 2, and 3. And there's no way to turn back now. And if you watch Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, and Mark Carney, who was governor of the Bank of Canada and then governor of the Bank of England, we watch their body language when he gets the Bitcoin question on the Council of Foreign Relations talk, a couple weeks ago or a week ago. They are just like Mark Carney's just rubbing his face. He's picking at his neck. Larry Fink is looking up and smiling. They know, they understand what this is. And Larry Fink said, look, we put 3 clips from CNBC up on our website. One was about COVID, and it got, one of their investors was on. One was about COVID, 3,000 views. One was about monetary policy, 3,000 views. One was about Bitcoin, 600,000 views. The CEO of BlackRock is watching these number of views on the videos on his website and using that as, indications about what's going on here. They know what's coming, and they know that they're done. The end is near. So it'll be fascinating to watch. They're going to cover their asses as long as they can, because that's what they have to do. But I think most of them know that Bitcoin's the future, and I think a lot of them are stacking. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, the beautiful thing about this revolution is that the greed element is involved now. So you're like the people that would otherwise oppose some big social, cultural revolution won't this time, or many won't, because they're so incentivized to get in on the action. They don't want to miss out on it. And to the point about young people today moving toward more collectivist or socialist mindsets or attitudes, I think that's true. And I think it's largely a result of the fact that generation has been so conditioned to think that centralized problem solving and those sorts of governance structures are how problems, how you fix things in society. If there's a problem, I know that's the case in Canada. If there's a problem, doesn't matter if it's public health, economic, transportation, whatever, the response is to go to the government to seek a solution. And in a circumstance or a scenario where the government has the access to that money printer, that endless wellspring of power to siphon off the productivity and wealth of the economy that it governs, then the inevitable result is that the government keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it keeps becoming the de facto problem solver for all the different market participants until it no longer can, until it breaks down, until it fails. And, Brandon Quittem, in his great piece about the Fourth Turning, really, puts a nice framework on this to make it palatable to people. And it's also why I think that the culture, like what we're doing here right now and what a lot of different people in this space are doing with regards to content and art and music and everything else, is so important because, yes, Bitcoin is that economic truth that's going to assert itself, but the culture is what helps people digest this and understand it better and makes it more alluring to people. Because there's an element to this that's a cultural battle. And you say, like, if you're going to tell people that nice, comfortable relationship that they perceive with the government, where when things go bad, they ask the government for help, and it's always that way. If you're going to tear them off that teat of dependence and you're going to ask them to go in a different direction, well, I think you've got to show them what other benefits are to be derived from doing that, rather than just, well, you'll be free, son. So what's happening here in terms of our behavior and in terms of what's bubbling up around this thing. And there's, it's really interesting investigation to try to tease out why what's bubbling up around this. But that's a huge part of bringing people into this and getting to see the contrast between what they've been conditioned to believe in terms of how things should be structured and how they should go about, organizing themselves and governance and that kind of stuff, and other possibilities. And, that's what's so great about this space, and mixing it up with guys like you and everybody else is we're kind of figuring that out. We're a little bit dancing around in the dark, but I think we have good intentions, and we're throwing things out there and seeing what sticks and building on top of that and bringing good people together. So.
And on that note, throwing things out there, seeing what sticks, this is a perfect time for my favorite part of the show, Swan Force Fridays, which is where we put our guests on the clock and ask them to give us their best Bitcoin pitch. Now, we usually do some interesting, no, that's not going to work. Hold on, folks. We got to find I think, will that work? Yeah, we put that over there. We're going to move Aaron over here. Sorry, Brady or Reed. There you go. All right. Everyone's good. We're going to put everyone on the clock and give them 60 seconds to do their best Bitcoin pitch. And what we usually do is ask you to say, who you're going to pitch. It could be your mom, your grandmother. It could be Steve Mnuchin. It could be Christine Lagarde. It could be anybody. But tell us who it is, and then you're going to get 60 seconds to give it your all. And if I'm feeling generous, I will give you some extra time. Who wants to go first? Any hand raisers?
I will. I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 second.
I mean, first of all, can we just say that this is ridiculous, because we don't even know how to pitch Bitcoin to people in less than a month's time period of here, just go read all these books. 60 seconds is insane. But I'll go first because silence on air is bad. Okay.
Who are you pitching?
I'm going to pitch to libertarians.
That's easy. All right.
It's actually not super easy. A lot of them are gold bugs, and they're pretty stubborn about it.
Agreed.
They are pretty stubborn about it. All right, you tell me when. I'm nervous. Mm-hmm.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, Bitcoin is, for the first time in human history, a way to have complete and utter control of your money. A money that's not controlled by centralized parties, centralized banks. You can act as your own bank. Anyone can do it. You have all the tools available to you. It does take some personal responsibility and time, but you essentially can become self-sovereign in a financial aspect, which has never been seen before. And take control of your life, because at the end of the day, money is the core to civilization, and rebuilding that and rebuild a better future for all. And that's all I got. And I'm under 60 seconds.
Bang.
Bonus points for keeping it to 40 seconds.
Bonus points. Justine, that was fantastic. Aaron,
thank you.
Will you go next for us?
Yeah, I'll go next.
Let's go.
I don't know how much. Okay. I'll use my father, because I will actually use an argument that he gave to me when I said you should invest in Bitcoin. So we'll go with my father.
I love it. All right. In 3, 2, 1.
Okay. So his response was, well, it's not real money. And my argument would be, you can't say what's happening right now with the stimulus packages and the printing of money is even real money. And what I would ask you to do is go to good old common sense. You look back at 2008, when people making $100,000 were getting $4 million loans for a home. It's not going to equate. Something's about to come down. Same thing with where we are right now. You have a country that's been 50% at least shut down for the past 9 months, and yet the stock market is right where it's are. We're dealing with funny money and not real money anyway. So why not own what you can and put your money in a safe bet by utilizing Bitcoin. That's my argument.
Wow, everyone's coming in under.
Oh.
This is wild.
Boom.
All right. Very nice. John, you're up next, sir. Actually, you know what? I'm going to ask you to pitch whoever you want, but then afterwards, I would like, if y'all don't mind, I'd like to hear the pitches to Mnuchin and Lagarde just for fun, because they'll be ridiculous and absurd. So we'll do that afterwards. John, who are you going to pitch?
Well, the who to pitch one is actually the hardest part about this, but I had a dinner with a friend of mine the other night, so let's go dinner with a friend pitch.
I like it. All right. In 3, 2, 1.
So the reason why I'm interested in Bitcoin and the reason why I think you should be interested in Bitcoin is I want you to consider something. Why is it that you have to work 9 to 5, 9 to 8 every single day of the week to earn your money, but there's another group of people in the same society that you live in that can make it for free? They don't have to work for it like you do. Do you think that's fair? Usually the answer is no. So Bitcoin is fair money. It's a money that everybody has to compete the same to receive. It's a money that can't be stolen from you in any way. It's a way for you to get rich. It's a way for you to get free. And it's a way for you to be part of a glorious future that's fair and prosperous and peaceful for everyone.
Oof. I am all fired up.
I'm opening Swan Bitcoin to smash buy right now. I am honestly going to smash buy right now.
Those were all fantastic. Thank you all for doing those. John, that last point, the time theft point is one that really resonates with me, and like the ability to save. And I think for a lot of people these days, it's super important. So I love that argument personally. But all right. Is anyone up for pitching Christine Lagarde or Steve Mnuchin? I won't make you do it, but if you'd like to. Yeah? Yeah. All right, 1 second. Sure. Ooh, sorry, John. All right, you get 1 minute to pitch Christine Lagarde. And
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. Go. Okay. So I know of your history and I know of all the things that you really care about and you've been working towards. And the only thing I'd like to say to you is to go fuck yourself because Bitcoin is not for you. Buy XRP.
That was awesome.
Sorry, that's all I got.
that was pretty good. Somebody said to do it in French, but that's all right.
Sorry.
That reminds me of one where so we had Matt Odell on, and his pitch was, I don't even think he said anything. He had his drink, and he just sat there sipping his whiskey and like staring at the camera. And then we were all waiting for like number go up or something at the end, and he just kept. Right. He let the time run out. He was like, I don't want anyone else to buy Bitcoin.
I'll go to John, or
There's the timer. Hey John, what about doing one for the that Canadian central banker? You're up in Canada, aren't you?
I am in Canada. What's her name? Chrystia Freeland or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I feel like
I was just gonna go with the sauce as well, but
like, what would you? Okay, here's the question.
What would you say to these people?
Right, because like I was on a flight once, and I'll tell you what I did, which is I don't regret it. Basically, I was on a flight, and I was sitting next to a guy who worked for one of the Federal Reserve banks, and we got to talking, and I was like, "Well, I'm a Bitcoiner," and I was reading. I think I was reading like the Bitcoin Standard or something. And by the end of the flight, we basically shook hands, and I got him to agree that he would read the Bitcoin Standard and Inventing Bitcoin, and I would read some book that he recommended. Now, I took his recommendation, I threw it away, but maybe he read it. So that's how I deal with a central banker if I meet one. But what else can you do? I don't
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love the opportunity someday. You know, I think in a spontaneous environment, the right answer would come up. But I don't know. I'd like to think I'd say something like, "Look, I know you have good intentions. I just don't think you realize the implications of the system that you're involved in or you're at the helm of. And I don't think you realize the hardship and the inequality and the unfairness that it fosters. And there's another parallel system currently emerging that is a far more fair system that prioritizes the freedom of the individual. And if you care for freedom, and if you care for the well-being of people, and if you care for their ability to determine their own fate, I think it's something that you should know about. And then, I'm going to let history judge whether or not you lean into that or you don't. Either way, that's what's going to happen. And best of luck.
Amen to that. Brady, are you trying to screen share something with the audience here?
Yes, sir.
All right, I will put it up on the screen then.
All three of these pitches have inspired me to stack some sats, and I just want to share with everyone watching that we have added the ability to stack sats immediately. You got to smash by. Sometimes you hear something inspirational. Sometimes you feel like you're at the bottom of a dip, and you want to just top up that automatic recurring buy. Right? Automatic recurring buy is the best way to stack your sats. Sometimes you just want to buy now. We get that. We've heard you. This is up and operational. We have a group of beta testers who we're rolling it out to. Right now, it's just internal, but we're going to start rolling it out like next week to all the people on the beta test. But check it out. I'm going to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, smash buy right now on Swan Bitcoin. All right, here's my quote. I'm going to buy at 18,132. I'm going to buy this dip. And this is in honor of those pitches that have inspired me to buy Bitcoin right now, and it's executing the trade. Oh my God, please don't let the live demo fail. This is like there it is. Hey, Bitcoin purchased. All right, I stacked some sats. And in honor of you all, thank you for being here.
I think this is the first time that someone has been inspired by the pitches to stack. It's never happened before. So good on our guest today. And I think that might be all we got, folks. So I wanted to thank you all for joining us. Can you all quickly shill yourselves, as uncomfortable as it might be for some? Tell the folks at home one more time where they can find you, who you are. Why can't I move the windows around? There we go. Starting with Erin. Please.
All right. So you can find me at clarifyingcrypto.com or clarifyingcryp1 on Twitter.
That's it? No, you can do better. Come on. Pitch yourself better. Come on.
Oh, we're doing a full pitch? I thought it was just where we could find.
Where they can find you, but also why should they go? Why should they go visit your website?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. Our podcast is a very 101. I ask some very stupid questions. I'm joining this. I've been several years in, but I talked to Justine about it. I feel like every time you figure out one thing, you open a door, and there's 70,000 more things to figure out. So our goal is to make it not as scary. Take control of your money. Take control of your freedom, as we like to say, and we're the 101s. We'll teach you what you need to know from the very beginning.
Love it. We need more top of funnel people. Lots more. As many as we can. Justine, who are you? Final thoughts, final words.
I'm going to confirm that you should listen to Aaron's podcast. I did it. We talked about nodes. I do think the top of funnel is very important. I'm also going to shield John because I think he's one of the best podcasters right now. As far as myself, I just shit talk on Twitter under Ms. Hoddle. I've been very open about my Bitcoin journey. I'm a total normie who's fallen down the rabbit hole and have gone to now running my own node, cold storage, kind of just learning as I fall. If you want to experience that journey with me, come aboard. I'm only on Twitter, and I'm just currently trying to kind of find my place in the space. So yes.
Y'all know who's next. Mr. John Vallis.
Well, first of all, guys, it's been fun to jam with you all for an hour or so. I love these things. I love connecting with Bitcoiners. That's pretty much what my podcast is about, Bitcoin Rapid Fire. I talk with pretty much any Bitcoiners out there that want to talk about what this means to them, what it's about, the implications, imagining the future, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to follow any of my shit on Twitter, at John K. Vallis is probably the best way to do so. So, yeah, that's it.
John, is the Anchor site the best place to find your podcast or somewhere else?
Yeah, it's on all the normal places, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Anchor. It's on YouTube as well, and that's been growing a bit lately. So, yeah.
Heck yeah. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining. I think I'm going to end us on Reed's skiing video just because it's wonderful. And we will
Yes. Perfect setup.
Hi, I'm Reed with Swan Bitcoin, and you're watching Bitcoin TV. Hi, I'm Reed from Swan Bitcoin, and you're watching Bitcoin TV. Hi, I'm Reed from Swan Bitcoin, and you're watching Bitcoin TV.
Too sexy.
All right, folks. Bye for now. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.